Thank you very much. Uh, Welcome to the Languages Pedagogy podcast. Today we have another wonderful guest. I'm so excited about this podcast because I never thought I was going to bring so many people here, wonderful educators, just like the one we have today. Jane Maria. What a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Languages Pedagogy podcast. Please, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit who you are, what you do?
So my name's Jane Maria Harding de Rosa, and I'm initially an English language teacher, but I soon got into doing presenting sessions and then got into teacher training, which I've been teaching English for 30 plus years. And I was in Portugal for 15 years, so I just kind of every year I tried to make sure I had a new challenge. So I was working at International House Porto. So when I started, I was a teacher, but I wanted to specialise in teaching children. So they gave me all of the children's classes. And at the time, 30 years ago, there was very few course books. There were some, but there were very few course books and resources. And so I made loads of resources, loads of cards, loads of flashcards, lots of different types. And then my director of studies at the time asked if I wanted to present a session using my resources at an International House Portugal symposium in Lisbon. So after 1 year of teaching, I just went, yeah, I'll do that. Went and did presented sessions. And I had some really top people in the session who came. Everyone came afterwards saying, "No, it was great." It was, because there just wasn't anything like that around. And then every time I got an opportunity to speak at an API conference, which is the Association of Portuguese English Teachers, or at an International House conference, I would take that opportunity and go, because I wanted to learn and develop, but also because I wanted to present and share my ideas. So I got that kind of bug of presenting, and then that led into becoming a teacher trainer as well, and training and creating my own training courses. Worked a lot with teachers in the primary school in Portugal because they were just introducing English into the national curriculum, and so I had that opportunity to work quite a lot with lots of things. And we had with International House, there's a course called the International House Certificate of Young Learners, and with some support from the API organisation, I was able to take that to the Ministry of Education in Portugal and get it accredited, which meant that we could deliver this course to lots and lots of teachers throughout Portugal. And then, so like I say, each year I just wanted to increase my knowledge and my experience. So then I became the director of studies. I did my diploma, the DTEFLA, or the Delta, as it's known now, Delta in teaching English. At the time, it was the DTEFLA. That says how old I am.
Yeah, we're pretty young.
Yeah. So I went up, and I went from being a teacher, young learner coordinator, to the director of studies at International House Porto, and then that opened loads of other doors. And then you wanted to put all of my experience into a qualification, so I did a master's in teaching English to young learners. Again, that was just life-changing. Every time, a new module, I couldn't wait to get stuck into the reading and apply everything and doing the action research. It was just a fascinating course.
Beautiful.
But it was good to have that experience in a qualification. And then that led to me becoming the young learner coordinator for International House World Organization. So I got to rewrite and redevelop the certificate course that I'd spent all that time sort of working with for the teachers in Portugal. So I'd got a lot of experience in writing material for children and writing courses for teachers. Okay. So then when I decided to leave Portugal after 15 years, it was a difficult decision, but there you go. I came back to the UK for the weather, obviously.
Definitely.
And I worked at International House in Newcastle, where I was able to continue doing some of that work. I then developed a course on CLIL, teaching teachers, mainly European teachers, who needed to teach their subject in English. Yeah.
Got it.
So
you've been doing the CLIL, Delta. Have you done CELTA as well?
Oh yeah, I did that before I went to. That was one of
the Delta.
It was CTEFLA then, back in those days, back in the 90s.
Wow, you know, let me say, I'm gonna cut you off a little bit because I love your career. I really love it, and I can see you're really one of those teachers that really are teachers and they're in the way, in this right path, and trying to spread positivity and try to spread as much as you can knowledge and teach. That's beautiful. You know, I think this is something that we actually need more teachers like you around. This is beautiful. I'm so delighted to have you here. Wow.
Let me just. So after I'd been working at International House in Newcastle for 10 years, that's when COVID happened, and I'd already trained up as a CELTA tutor. So I was delivering CELTA courses, and I trained up as a Delta tutor as well. Although that was a lot harder. And anyway, after working at International House in Newcastle for 10 years, COVID happened. They cut numbers. I was one of the numbers. But I had already decided I wanted to go and do a PGCE and get back into the classroom and teach children. So I did my PGCE in primary school teaching quite late in life.
It's never too late, I would say.
Well, it's not, is it? And I actually heard the term silver learner. I thought that's quite a nice way of putting it, isn't it? I was a silver learner when I did my PGCE, and but was able to go back into the classroom, into primary school classroom. Then I was asked to go back into the university and do some teaching, some academic teaching academic English, and do another CELTA. And the people I was working with on that CELTA at Sunderland University, they were mainly teachers, teacher trainers, and so they were a tough crowd to please because they knew what it was like. They've been in the classroom, and then and a CELTA is an initial teacher training course, so it's quite hard to get a good balance there. But they recognised that all of the things I was saying was so important, and that there isn't the training for teachers, especially in the UK and in international schools, where they've got a UK qualification to teach, but they haven't got that experience and know really how to work with English as an additional language. So they sort of encouraged me and said, why don't you start your own business, or why don't you go into this? And, this is so needed. And so I thought, well, I will do that then, as I didn't want to waste all of my experience. I didn't feel I was utilizing my teacher training experience standing in front of a group of 37-year-olds. I loved being in the classroom, but it wasn't the experience. I wasn't using that experience. And so I wanted to connect with teachers and like you say, have that cascading effect, because when I'm teaching and training teachers and they're taking my ideas and they are then using them with their students and their learners, I know that I've had that influence on hundreds of thousands of people, even though it's kind of just cascading now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Of course. I mean, that's what I call an influencer. That's an influencer. That's a real influencer. That it is what it is. So that's an amazing time actually that you had there with being a teacher trainer. And
Yeah.
having that crowd that you mentioned definitely must have been hard as well.
but at the same time the most rewarding, because they gave me that inspiration,
Recognize.
and they
Mm,
and the validity that what I'm doing and how I was presenting was good, and that they saw the value in it, and they
yeah.
wanted it to go on, and thought that I should do it.
And
But
that, and
yeah.
now we have this, and now we have this, now we have your, now you have your own, let's say, company, right? Your own institution, your little baby there that
my
you can
little
actually
my little
just
business.
hold it. And yes.
Well, so that's how it was born, really. But my idea when I started this, and
Yeah.
it's called Enriching ELT, so that's the kind of name of the company, or EELT. And my idea was to go to schools and do a sort of a mini, almost like the mini CLIL version, or sort of, but focusing on the
Mm,
EAL and all the things. But going to
yes.
schools, going to international schools and presenting to the teachers and giving them ideas, and maybe going and observing stuff. But then I did Rachel Roberts' course on Design to Flourish, which is for freelancers, freelance English teachers who want to set up their business, and helping them find their niche. And the way that it's set up, it was all online, and we're all, from all over the world doing this course. And I just realized that I don't have to go anywhere to have this influence and to do this training. I can do it
Exactly.
all from the luxury of my my little
Your
corner
own
here.
home. Yeah.
Yeah. And because that's really what I wanted to do, was to be
And
here.
I see, and I think you're actually doing it because I was actually stalking your stalking your YouTube channel. And I really love it. It's fascinating actually, that all the tips that you have there. And I see actually that you got a really good amount of people following you, and they're actually watching you, and that's pretty good actually, because the topics that you present there are really important in a classroom.
Mm,
They're really good. I love all of them. They're little tips, and
yeah.
those are cool.
And it's not just for, I mean, although I've called it Supporting EAL Learners, the YouTube channel is Enriching ELT, and that's
Yeah.
my sort of tag. Um, although it's for EAL teachers teaching EAL, I think it's valid for everybody, for whether they are teaching just subject teachers and they haven't got any EAL, or it's just good teaching practice, isn't it? A lot of the
Hmm.
things, just good teaching practice. Some of them are just, even if you're teaching language and teaching English language, again, it's good practice of being a language
Hmm.
teacher, that a lot of those tips would apply. Or if you're a CLIL teacher, and there's a lot of overlap between CLIL and EAL, so it should appeal to them as well. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed that'll take off.
It is
Or is
actually,
taking off.
no, definitely. It's already. It just need more exposure, and this is one of the things, being in this industry, in this part of the business, let's say in this part of society, education. Let's face reality, not everybody are like kind of interested in learning something. They prefer to see the Kardashians or something like it. I don't want to promote them, but it is the reality. They prefer to see something that it's meaningless, instead of watching
Mhm.
something that can help you, I mean, develop yourself, improve as a person, as a teacher. So I think the path that you're taking, it's really amazing, and for sure, here in this audience that I have, for sure they're coming to you and they start like checking on the content, because your content is specifically for teachers, I would say, mostly, and that actually helps a lot. Those tips, I really like them. I actually put a couple of likes to the videos that I actually watched yesterday. It was really good.
Thank you.
Those ones are really nice. And one thing that I would like to calm right now, before actually uh we continue with the other part, it's that I really got like a little bit curious about the triple M that you actually call it. And I saw your LinkedIn and your post and all that, and I was like, I need to talk to her. It sounds like there's something really good over there. So the triple M framework. That's how from exposure to ownership, right?
Yeah.
What is that? Could you please let us know a little bit about it?
Capture life precious moments in stunning details with our professional cameras. Unleash your creativity and preserve memories like never before. Visit us now at frameflowcn.com.
So I call it the MMM framework, but I'm quite happy to go with triple M. Now I need to have my book handy. Ooh.
Yes.
So I found it in this book, which is called The Primary English Teacher's Guide. This is when I was doing my master's, and it's by Brewster, Ellis and Girard. And it's, as you can see, it falls open naturally at the page that it's all about.
Yeah.
But in there, it mentioned the MMM framework as a way of introducing language to children. So they said, I think it was kind of instead of the PPP, present, practice,
Yes.
practice, produce.
Present, practice, and produce, yeah.
Yeah. So it was meet, manipulate, make it your own. And I sort of picked this up and just sort of, and I you know, when you really sort of, that's my aha moment. It spoke to me. It said, no, this is really true. And it made me really reflect on how we learn language. And yes, you need to meet language in context somehow, seeing it and associating it with images or sounds, or you're meeting it in a context. That's really important. And then you have to do something with it. So that's the manipulate stage. You've got to play with it and experiment with it, and you know, say it lots of times to get familiar with it in your mouth, and change it around a little bit. And then when the children leave the classroom, they have to have this ownership of it and have this feeling that they've made it their own. So make it your own is the final M stage. And I just thought that was a lovely way to frame a lesson, that you provide them with an opportunity to meet, you provide them with an opportunity to manipulate it, you provide them with an opportunity to make it their own, to get so familiar with it that they've got a sense of belonging about it when they leave the classroom.
So, this brings me to, that actually got me a question here. So you're talking a little bit about ownership. All right. This is this ownership of language, I guess, right? Ownership of language. What does that actually look like in a real classroom? Not in theory. Because in theory, you know, it's quite like something that we get it and everything, but what does it look like in a real classroom?
Well, it's where they can actually use it without having to think about it. And you're right, it might not happen in one lesson. It might take a series of lessons, but it's that giving them the opportunity to express their own ideas with that language, so that they're not thinking about it all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that automaticity stage where they're saying it automatically without having to worry about if it's right or not. But that sense of belonging, where they can say, I know this language now, it's mine. You know, and
so
that's what you
this
want.
is the part. This is the part that is that the difference between the ones who knows the language and the one who owns it. Basically.
Yes, there's a big difference, isn't there? Yeah, you can know language. You can know how to fill in a gap fill or a verb chart, and you can get 100% on those tasks, can't you?
Yes.
And you know language. But it's not the same as having ownership and being able to use it. You know, so it's that using language that I think it's. And then anyway, then I got on to reflecting about this whole framework, and I just thought, it's what we do in life. It's become, for me, it's now become a philosophy for life, because you meet ideas all the time. So like I've met the idea of MMM
Yeah.
And I met that 15 years ago plus when I started my master's. So that's when I met it. And I feel like I have really manipulated it to become something more than what it was just in this book. For me, it's become a real framework. It's become a lesson planning structure. It's become, like I say, a philosophy for life. So I've got ownership of it now because I've manipulated it so much. And I'm still doing that. I'm still thinking of how whatever the ideas are. And I believe it so much that I actually structure all of my teacher training courses around it. So you take something like CLIL, and particularly when I started doing the CLIL sessions and the CLIL course, people would ask me, how can you do a CLIL course? It's hard to say. How can you do a CLIL course that suits everyone? I would have primary school teachers in there, secondary subject teachers, hard CLIL, which would be, like all of the lessons in English, the soft CLIL, maybe they've only got half an hour a day with the learners. You might have your university lecturers in there. Okay, so they'd be going, how can you have a course for all these different subjects and teaching situations? Okay, so I would say yes, but what we're doing is we're introducing them to the ideas of CLIL, the theories, the methodologies, everything. So that would be what all the input would be on. Then they would given an opportunity, and it would be timetabled into the course to go and manipulate those ideas for their individual teaching. So they'd go and look at how to do it in their subject or how to do it for their age group. And that would be part of the course. But it was not until they could then take it back to the classroom.
Hello and welcome to the Language Learning Toolkit, Essential Strategies for Teachers with EAL Learners.
This is a CPD certified self-study online course designed to give teachers a clear understanding of how language learning works in real classrooms and what that means in practice. Inside the course, I take you through the key principles of language learning and show you how to apply them using a simple, adaptable framework so you can make your teaching more accessible without simplifying your content. That they would then have that real opportunity to make it their own. So that's how it started, sort of thinking about teacher training courses with the MMM framework. And what I'm trying to do now in the sessions and the courses I've put together, you're meeting an idea, you then take it away and manipulate it to suit not just your teaching style and your teaching subject, but your situation and your learners, because they're all different, or every class is different. So you've got to adapt your teaching to that. You've got to manipulate your teaching to suit who's in front of you and use these ideas so much that they become automatic. You no longer have to question why you're doing it. You're doing it because it works and it happens automatically.
Yeah. So now that you're introducing this MMM, the triple M, let's break it down a little bit. What happens in the meat stage? And what are teachers usually getting wrong there, for example?
So in the meat stage, that's where they are showing the language in context. You could be, and then this again, it will depend on whether you're a subject teacher, what your subject is, if you're teaching language or if you're things. But that meat stage is going to could be a game where you're, if they're very young learners, it might be a card game where you've got images and words and they're matching them together. They're still meeting language. That would be.
This mid stage would be like the engaging stage, like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, and like I say, it could be anything. It's just making sure that you're bringing that context where they're seeing it. You're also bringing the language, so they're seeing the connection between the language that's used and the context, and you're showing it to them, or you're introducing it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the manipulate, which it sounds simple, but it's where things often fall apart, right? But
It
why is
is.
that?
It's often the part that gets missed out, because it's kind of, you do a teacher explanation, you might just do 1 or 2 little exercises, and then it's like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and use it now. And it's like, they can't. Why? Because they, just because you, the teacher, have spoken through an explanation doesn't mean that they have absorbed that language. They've got to do
True.
something with it. So when I'm teaching young learners, I do a lot of chants and rhythm work. Okay, that's what I did my action research in when I was doing my master's, with the use of different types of chants. And so I think in the manipulate stage, that's the opportunity that they can create their own chants, or to make up some, just play with the sounds of language, if that's the focus of the lesson.
Yes.
Or change the words in chants so that they can make up their own. So they've, by doing that, by really working with it, they're getting that ownership of it. But yeah, then the make it your own stage, like you've said before, it can be a difficult one, because that can also get pushed to the end. In a language lesson, it's often, the last 5 minutes in your plan, and then if you run out of time, it gets left. And really, that's
plan.
Yeah, but your fluency could almost start at the beginning and be the place where you're introducing new language and you're meeting new language, if you're starting with the fluency bit of the last lesson. Does that make sense? Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but you said something, the lesson plan. It feels like everything needs to be like that, static. Like this is the lesson plan. You gotta follow like this. Does it have to feel like that? I feel like everything
No.
is rigid. Like, okay, this is the lesson plan. Let's do it like this. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, that's it. Cut it here. Continue with the next part.
I mean, yeah, and we're going to move into no, it's not a meet, manipulate, make it your own. There is so much overlap. It's while they're meeting, and a lot of the example plans and the example thing that I've got on my courses, you'll see that this is a bit of meet, but it's also got a little bit of a manipulate element to it, because they can happen at the same time. It's not just meet, manipulate, make it your own. There's loads of overlap, and it's especially through the manipulating stage that you get that make it your own. So there's loads of it overlap into that bit, and it's sort of gradually.
So here we have like something like overlapping, like the meet, manipulate, and again, meet, manipulate, between these two, basically, until the last one, which is the final stage, make it your own. Which this is where ownership happens, as you say. So why do so many learners never reach this stage?
I think one of the biggest problems with language teaching is that then the students are never given the opportunity to get fluent in what they should already know. And there's lots of reasons for that. Teachers are set with a course book and they have to get through the course book or the curriculum. And so they just keep ploughing on through, and really they go on, and we've covered everything, but that's not the same as giving them the opportunity to work with it and get comfortable with it. So when we're so focused on, we've done the present perfect, we've done this, we've done that, we have to move on to the next thing. Well, not if they can't. Give them the opportunity to get fluent in what they already know, or should already know. And there's not enough of that.
Yes. This actually brings it to the status quo, to the system itself. I actually love that idea because I actually apply it. I'm also a young learners teacher myself. I love it. I enjoy it. But here's the thing. I'm a little bit outside the system, and I always go against against the principle. Everyone is like, no, let me work my way because I think my way will work a lot better, which is a little bit similar to what you're saying right now. But the reality of most of the teachers is totally different. I mean, they don't have this ability to go and confront people and say, no, 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 this is the way. No, they actually have to follow something there, and it has to be like that. And if it's not like that, then you have a problem. How can actually we face that such a thing? Because most of the teachers, they're just content. They're just covering content, content, and repetition, content, repetition.
I know. And I remember being in this situation when I was a director of studies, and I got to the end of the academic year, and one of my teachers hadn't or had hardly touched the course book. And so when we were saying, right, this is the end of year test for this group, and it's like, well, he hadn't done anything of the book, and instead of sort of, I accepted that what he was doing was valid. So I changed my thought about how much of this book that should be covered, and I just thought, actually, what is a course book? It's a syllabus. And if you're doing a syllabus, if you're covering the same topic and the same language structures and the same skills that are in the course book, and it's been set out that you need to do X, Y, and Z number of units by the end of but you find that the course book isn't working for your group of students, then I don't think there's anything wrong in finding another way, as long as you're still covering the topics that were in the book and the language. But it doesn't have to be the book. The book is just there as a support. And I especially think with young learners, a lot of the books were written before the kids were even born. Do you know what I mean? So they weren't written specifically for your group of learners. They're just written for a generic group of 7-year-olds who happen to be living in this country or happen to be learning English, and that's what the book is. So you've got to adapt it anyway. So it's about adapting.
I think that's the basic. Exactly. Adapt everything to it, and I remember I was actually telling you about my friend Jose Torres, because he's also a teacher, but he's also one of those type of the teachers who are totally against the system, I would say. And he's like pretty clear on this one. He's like, I want to go, this is the way I have to do it for my kids. And he actually faced the principal and some authorities. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do, I don't want to be like a bad influencer here, but that's what happens. I mean, if you really care about your students and you see how they learn, at least I think the administrative part of the school or whatever, they need to actually listen to you a little bit. And that's actually something that happens. That's reality.